We have about 100,000 documented gang members, and estimates range almost up to around the 130,000 mark for gang members overall. What Chuck is referring to is a recent phenomenon in the last probably 2 years, I would say, where it's really been spiking in that, you know, we have the usual gang conflicts over drug turf, various different issues, leaving gangs, joining gangs, back and forth, all the regular gang stuff. But in the last 2 years, we've had a major spike in basically cyber banging. And it's all exactly what these gentlemen are talking about. And the most probably visible example of that is an issue with an aspiring rapper called Chief Keef. It was nationally reported on. It was kind of a big deal, and there were numerous shootings and murders. Actually, the commander of deputy chief of one of our neighborhoods, Englewood, where most of it was basically ground zero for this conflict, is here. He's not here at this meeting today, but he's here, and we really had to ramp up our abilities to monitor social media, starting with that about 2 years ago. We have a unit in the police department called the Gang School Safety Team that actually Chuck and people from his office assisted us in developing. And basically the Gang School Safety Team, I don't want to get too far off topic, but it's a group of people that work within our gang enforcement unit, and they try to interdict gang problems that stem out of the schools. And the reason I refer to that is because, again, the social media in the schools is prolific, and a lot of the issues that are happening on the street go back and forth within our schools. Luckily, we haven't had any violence in the schools, but just outside of the schools and violence stemming from the schools has been relatively prolific. This unit has been really good and kind of nationally recognized in order to go in and stop some of these conflicts. But a lot of what they do, it stems from social media monitoring. And and I don't want to be redundant too much of what was already talked about, but they'll monitor what is being going on in social media, identify the subjects, and then go into the school and pull them out and have basically an intervention, I should say, with social people, social workers from the school, people from the school, and sometimes parents when you can get them involved. Back to Chief Keef. Chief Keef is pretty much a full circle example of what the problems are with social media and what can be done with social media to help prevent things and incidents. So it started out 2 different gangs, the Lamrons, which is basically one of our streets spelled backwards, and the Brick Squad BDs. And they're relatively close in proximity to each other. They age range anywhere from about 15 to early 20s for the most part. But Chief Keef was the aspiring rapper, was basically, and it's funny because the parents kind of tacitly approve of what they're doing because they say, well, that's how they're trying to get their street cred, to get their rap career going. So they'll post this information, or these threats, and they're basically going back and forth. And the highlight of it is where it really peaked, and there's a lot of shootings going back and forth based on this. But where it really peaked is where a young man who was trying to basically copy what Chief Keef was doing and start his own rap career, was posting that I'm riding through your neighborhood right now, and I'm on this bike, this and that, and I'm on a bike, I'm riding through your neighborhood, and he's basically posting that he's disrespecting them or dissing them. And sure enough, they came over there and killed him. I mean, they use social media to find their target and kill their target. So we were able to, and this is just one example, it's happening in various parts of the city. I mean, everywhere from this cyber banging all the way to the flash mob type incidents. We've been able to get in front of a lot of it, and we've been able to stop a lot of shootings and potential murders by monitoring this, just as Toronto and Milwaukee is doing. But one thing, and like Mr. Liebold stated, you gotta be really careful about how you use it. Now, we have used it to enhance cases, but we've done it the right way. We've got search warrants, we've got court orders to hold evidence and to subpoena evidence from Facebook. We have a law in Chicago that was based on a police officer that got killed years ago, a couple years ago. In fact, just had another subject in that case was just convicted of murder. But one of our young police officers was killed by convicted felon gang members who were out on the street. Working with the state attorney's office, we developed a law. It's called generically, not generically, but euphemistically called the Valdez Law. But it's basically